Hi, I'm Nicole Fay. I am the president of the Annex Beauty Association, and I'm going to be taking you guys through the safety and sanitation course today. So bear with me today. I know that this is not a fun course that we have to take. It's 4 hours of a lot of information, but let's just try to get through this today, and I hope that I can make it a little bit more fun than other courses that you've taken in the past. So some of the things that we're going to be going over today, we're going to be talking about the governing agencies that help us create these laws and rules and the proper safety and sanitation. Best practices, if you will, for those of you who are not necessarily licensed and bound by any laws and rules. These are just best practices, and just so you know where all of these things come from. We're going to be talking about the importance of infection control. We're going to be talking about the proper steps of microbial prevention. We'll be going over various types of diseases and infections, and we will also be going over the Minnesota laws and rules. Okay, so the first thing we're going to go over is all the different organizations that help sort of come up with, or help us come up with the laws and rules that we are following, the best practices for those of you who, again, are not necessarily licensed. So we have the CDC, we have OSHA, we have the EPA, we have the BCE, and then we have MDH. Okay, so we've got the Center for Disease Control and Prevention. Okay, so that's for our entire nation. OSHA, which is the Occupational Safety and Health Administration. So that's making sure that we're safe in our workspaces, and that the salon owners, and for those of us who are owners, are making sure that our employees and our customers are staying safe. We have the Environmental Protection Agency, which protects the human health and the environment. So making sure that we're not dumping chemicals wherever. The BCE, BCE. So that's the Board of Cosmetology Examiners in the state of Minnesota, which, they're the ones who are making sure that those of us who are licensed and or not licensed are following all the other CDC, OSHA, EPA, MDH. They're the ones who are making sure that we're following all the laws and rules. They're the ones that when a customer is complaining, they go to them, and then they come at us, and then they make sure that we are following various regulations. The board is not the ones who actually come up with the laws and the rules. That is being done by lobbyists and people who would like to make those changes, which could be yourself. Then you get a lobbyist to come to help you write the bills, and then go and have everything pass through the House of Representatives and the Senate. And then that's how all the laws and rules are created and changed. And then the Board of Cosmetology then has to follow all of those things and make sure that we are doing what we're supposed to be doing. And then there is the Minnesota Department of Health, and that one's obvious that they're also trying to ensure that we are following proper safety and sanitation, and we're keeping not only ourselves safe and healthy, but also our clients as well. So yeah. Okay, the next thing we're going to talk about is microbes. So microbes are tiny little things that live all around us. They're really too tiny to see. Microbes are tiny little things that live all around us. It's in the water, soil, in the air. Teeny tiny little things. We can't see them with the naked eye. The human body is the home of millions of microbes. They're also called microorganisms. Some microbes make us sick, and some microbes actually are necessary for our health. The most common types of microbes are fungi, bacteria, viruses. There are also microbes called protozoa, which is a parasite. So we'll talk a little bit about lice and a little bit and some other protozoas. Okay, so for your entertainment, the next part is going to be a video that you guys are going to watch from YouTube. So enjoy.
No matter where you go, you will be surrounded by living things that you cannot see. You can go in your yard, you can go in the ocean, you can even go in a hole in the ground, and trillions of living things will be all around you. These living things are not invisible animals or see-through plants. They are microbes. The reason you cannot see microbes is they are really, really, really tiny. They are so tiny that we can only see them with a super powerful microscope. Microbes are living things that have only one cell in their entire body. Cells are the tiny building blocks that fit together to make the bodies of living things. Cells are kind of like living Legos. If you think of it that way, then a microbe is made of only one Lego block. You, on the other hand, have about 137 trillion cells in your body. So that would be 137 trillion Lego blocks. That makes you so much bigger than a microbe that if a microbe were the size of an 8-year-old kid, then 8-year-old kids would be over 660 miles tall. There are many different kinds of microbes. Microbes include bacteria, viruses, amoebas, phytoplankton, and some funguses like yeast. Microbes don't have brains or hearts or mouths or eyes, but they are alive. Like other living things, they must eat and breathe and drink water to survive. They are able to get these things in habitats where no human could ever live. You can find microbes living in mud, in hot springs, inside the sea floor, even on your skin and inside your intestines. Just look at your arm. There are millions of microbes you can't see living there right now. Though we often call microbes germs, most microbes are not germs. Germ is a nickname we give to those microbes that can make us sick. There are some microbes that make us sick, like flu viruses and salmonella bacteria, but most microbes do not hurt people, and many of them help us. About half the oxygen you are breathing right now came directly from microbes. Microbes help make the soil that allows plants to survive. You even have about 100 trillion microbes living inside of you that are doing everything from protecting you from getting sick to helping you digest your food. Microbes help us so much, we could not survive without them. So thank a microbe. You don't have to travel far to find one. Wherever you go, they're all around you.
So, fun fact, there are 10 times more microbial cells than human cells in our bodies, and the highest number of microbial species are found in our tummies. According to the CDC, there are about 2 million people in the United States that are infected with antibiotic-resistant bacteria. Every year, that leads to the death of 23,000 humans, which is about how many followers I have on Instagram. Okay, so in this slide, we are gonna talk about antibiotic resistance. Antibiotic resistance happens when germs like bacteria and fungi develop the ability to defeat the drugs designed to kill them. This means that the germs are not killed and continue to grow. Infections caused by antibiotic resistant germs are difficult and sometimes impossible to treat. In most cases, antibiotic-resistant infections require extended hospital stays, additional follow-up doctor visits, and costly and toxic alternatives. So according to the CDC, the antibiotic resistance does not mean that the body is becoming resistant to the antibiotics. It is that the bacteria have become resistant to the antibiotics designed to kill them. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding? Are you kidding me? There are 4 types of microbial germs. So that's a virus, bacteria, fungi, and parasites. So viruses, what is it? It's a submicroscopic particle, much smaller than bacteria, that causes familiar diseases like the common cold, which is caused by a filterable virus. What it needs, it requires a living host, such as people, plants, animals, in order to multiply, or it will not survive. When a virus enters your body, it invades some of your cells and takes over, redirecting them to produce the virus. And then the treatment is, viruses are not treatable with antibiotics, while bacterial infections can generally be treated with appropriate antibiotics. Vaccines can be a preventative measure for certain viruses, which brings us to, we are now going to watch a video on the vid. The coronavirus. We're gonna watch a vid on the vid.
In December 2019, there was a cluster of pneumonia cases in the city of Wuhan in China. Some of the early cases had reported visiting or working in a seafood and live animal market in Wuhan. Investigations found that the disease was caused by a newly discovered coronavirus. The disease was subsequently named COVID-19. COVID-19 spread within China and to the rest of the world. On 30 January 2020, the World Health Organization declared the outbreak a public health emergency of international concern. In this video, we'll take a quick look at what is currently known about COVID-19. Keep in mind that this is a new disease, and what's known is rapidly evolving and might change in the future. So what is a coronavirus? Coronaviruses are a large group of viruses. They consist of a core of genetic material surrounded by a lipid envelope with protein spikes. This gives it the appearance of a crown. Crown in Latin is called corona, and that's how these viruses get their name. There are different types of coronaviruses that cause illness in animals and humans. In humans, coronaviruses can cause respiratory infections ranging from the common cold to more severe diseases. These include the severe acute respiratory syndrome coronavirus, first identified in China in 2003, the Middle East respiratory syndrome coronavirus that was first identified in Saudi Arabia in 2012, and SARS-CoV-2, the name of the virus that causes COVID-19 that was first reported in December 2019. So, where did this new virus come from? It's known that coronaviruses circulate in a range of animals. Sometimes these viruses can make the jump from animals to humans. This is called a spillover and could be due to a range of factors, such as mutations in the virus or increased contact between humans and animals. For example, MERS-CoV is known to be transmitted from camels, and SARS-CoV from civet cats. The animal reservoir of the new coronavirus is not known yet. How does the disease spread? The disease can spread from person to person through droplets, when an infected person releases those droplets through coughing, talking, or sneezing, for example, when close to another person. It can also spread when infected droplets land on objects, and when another person touches them and then touches their eyes, nose, or mouth. What are the symptoms? The incubation period, which is the time taken from exposure to the virus and development of symptoms, is on average 5 to 6 days, but can range from 1 to 14 days. There can be a range of symptoms, from very mild to severe. Some people may not develop symptoms. Common symptoms include fever, fatigue, and respiratory symptoms such as cough, sore throat, and shortness of breath. Some people reported loss of their sense of taste or smell, and some may develop a skin rash. In more severe cases, there could be pneumonia, organ failure, and sometimes death. About 80% of cases recover from the disease without needing special treatment. But there are some people who are at risk of serious illness. They include older people or people with underlying medical problems, such as chronic respiratory disease, obesity, diabetes, high blood pressure, heart disease, or cancer. How can we tell whether someone is infected? The infection is commonly diagnosed by a test called reverse transcriptase polymerase chain reaction, generally known as PCR. This test identifies the virus based on its genetic fingerprint. There's also a blood test that can check for antibodies against the virus, which may show that someone was infected in the past. How is it treated? The treatment for COVID-19 is mainly supportive care. Medicines against the virus are currently under investigation. How do we prevent transmission of the virus? There are a number of effective ways to prevent the spread of the disease. These include covering your mouth and nose when coughing or sneezing with a flexed elbow or tissue, and throwing the tissue in a closed bin immediately after use. Wash hands regularly with soap and water or an alcohol-based hand rub, maintaining at least 1 meter distance from people, and the appropriate use of masks and personal protective equipment, especially in health settings. It's important to stay home if you're feeling unwell and to call a hotline or your medical professional. But if you have a fever, cough, or difficulty breathing, seek medical care early and share your travel history or contact with someone unwell with your healthcare provider. In some areas, governments have implemented specific physical and social distancing measures to prevent the spread of the outbreak. It's important to follow their advice. Vaccines to prevent COVID-19 are currently under development, and scientists around the world are working hard to make this happen. That's a quick look at this emerging infectious disease. We're still learning about this virus every day, and what's known may change. So please, check the website below for the most up-to-date information.
So just as a reminder, this is a 4-hour video. You can go at whatever speed you want to go at. If it's time to take a break, it's time to take a break. So pause and come back in a little bit.